Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, you're looking live at live images from Sky 5 over Durham, where police are searching for a man who jumped into a pond. You are 45 seconds away from a live report.
And more breaking news this noon. Epic Games' plans to build a new headquarters in Cary are on hold.
And it's warm and dry out here on the patio, but that may not be all good. I'll show you why it's meaning a high fire danger for today.
Recovering from pandemic learning loss, where students are improving and where they need more help. But first, that breaking news, WRAL Sky 5 is live over the scene of a reported water rescue in Durham.
And this is all happening in the 3100 block of Rowena Avenue near East End. And Michelle McConaughey is in the WRAL Live Center gathering information on this. Michelle, what can you tell us about that body of water there?
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions in this, but Durham police have confirmed that there is somebody in the water. This is a live look at the scene right now from Sky 5. This is what we know. They attempted to conduct a vehicle stop of a stolen vehicle on Rowena Avenue. The suspect then fled on foot and entered this body of water. There are multiple units on scene right now conducting a search. Durham Police, Durham County Sheriff's Office, and Durham Fire Department. They are all there right now searching for this suspect in the water. Monica Casey is also on scene. She is gathering more information. As soon as we have anything new to report, we'll do so either at the scene or here in the Live Center.
Michelle, thanks for that update. We have more breaking news this noon. A plan to rezone the site of Epic Games headquarters has been withdrawn. That's supposed to be at the former site of Cary Town Center Mall.
The company announced the project back in 2020 and was expected to be complete last year. Chris Lovingood joins us now. And Chris, it's been 4 years and now this.
Now this, Renee, and I tell you what, I just confirmed this within the past, I'm talking about 30 minutes here, but the letter that I obtained essentially explains it all. Now, you'll recall the rezoning was for that site on which Cary's Town Center used to sit. Well, it was torn down and development never really moved past that point. Well, this letter says that because there has been inactivity on the application, Epic Games failed to pursue the rezoning for a period of 6 months or more. And so the application is now considered withdrawn. The letter states there is a 12-month waiting period before the company can file new plans, and there's also the option for town leaders to waive that. Now, to be clear, this doesn't necessarily mean Epic Games is not going to go through with its plans. The letter notes the company can still decide to rezone the property, but a new application must be filed. So what we're doing right now in the newsroom is we're trying to reach out to Epic Games to get some kind of comment. And coming up on our later newscast on WRAL, you'll hear from Cary's assistant town manager about what this means for the town.
It's going to take some time before it gets figured out. That's pretty apparent right there. Chris, thanks. Warm temperatures, dry weather make for good conditions to head outside. But with the addition of breezy conditions out there, there's a high danger for fire.
Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio to explain. Elizabeth.
So it does feel really nice out here, especially with the sun to my back, but it's windy. You can probably tell from my hair. You'll see it, blowing around out here. It's been very dry. We have a drought situation, and so the dry conditions along with the wind and the warm temperatures are creating high fire danger. Wilson, of course, always a great way to look at what's going on out there. The whirligigs are really spinning around pretty quickly. We have some really gusty winds out here in the gardens right now. We take a look at those wind gusts. The wind is all coming out of the southwest, and so that's what's bringing the warm air into our region right now. We're gusting 23 in Roxborough, 24 in South Hill, 23 Rocky Mountain, 18 in Goldsboro, and the winds are steady about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Now, that's going to continue through the afternoon. We may even see some gusts up to around 30 miles per hour. Now, once we take it into the evening, we'll see those winds beginning to die down just a little bit, just like they did last night. Our drought status right now, of course, is moderate drought for the entire viewing area. So all these elements coming together. We have the windy conditions for today. We have the drought at moderate and, of course, the warm temperatures. So we do have a fire threat through about 5 o'clock today. So today's a good day to put off any outdoor burning. We'll talk about how much warmer the temperatures get over the next few days.
Elizabeth, thanks. State lawmakers are back in Raleigh today to begin work for the legislative session. This afternoon, House leaders will get updates on the disaster response to Helene. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie is live at the legislative building with what we're expecting. Laura.
Now, late last year, state lawmakers passed 2 rounds of relief funding for Helene, but Helene survivors said it was nowhere near enough. Now, legislators at the time said they were going to wait to see how much federal help they would get. Well, we should get a better picture of that sometime this afternoon. This will be the first time the state lawmakers will hear directly from the new Stein administration on the progress of their relief efforts in western North Carolina. Storm victims have complained that FEMA has moved too slowly in setting up temporary housing like trailers. Governor Stein's first round of executive orders were focused on getting more trailers on the ground more quickly, so we'll see if that's improving. Governor Cooper's office came under fire for its handling of hurricane relief efforts in eastern North Carolina, so Stein created a new team within his office to manage efforts in the West. Former Wake County Commissioner Matt Calabria is heading up that team. He's expected to give a report today. We should also get an update on how much federal funding has been promised and when it'll be available, and whether President Trump's various executive orders are expected to affect that. The meeting today begins at 2 p.m. You can watch that live on WRAL.com, where you can also find our extensive coverage of relief efforts so far. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Reversing the COVID slide, a new report shows where students in our state are improving and where they need help. WRAL's Julian Grace is live in Raleigh to break down these brand new stats from today. Julian.
Jeff, brand new stats indeed. There's a lot of conversation about that report. It basically shows that North Carolina students are up in math, but down in reading. So we came here to Pullen Park to talk to parents, and they had a lot to say about it. The percentage of students testing at the basic or above levels has decreased in reading for the past decade. Now, the report also indicates that learning loss during COVID is still impacting students. Another contributing factor are absences. 25% of all North Carolina students are chronically absent. That's according to the 2023-2024 school year, and that's up from 16% during the 2018 and 2019 school year. That's a lot of numbers. So we talked to parents, and one parent shared with us her thoughts on how to turn this all around.
I don't blame it on all our educators' fault. I think that parents need to spend more time reading with their children. I think there needs to be less emphasis on playing video games and, after-school curricular activities, and I think reading needs to be part of the family.
Reading needs to be a part of the family. That is a common theme that we've heard out here since we've been at Pullen Park. But then there's more questions. What other solutions are out there? And what is the state superintendent saying about all of this? We'll have that for you. All new later tonight at 4 o'clock. For now, reporting in Raleigh, Julian Grace, WRAL News.
Also today, Cumberland County Schools will unveil a new tool to better support families. It's called Family Engagement on Demand. The platform gives families access to learning videos and expert-led sessions on topics like supporting a child with ADHD and how to teach kids about online safety.
Durham Public Schools says it's working on retaining more experienced bus drivers. The school board met yesterday to discuss their nearly $7 billion budget shortfall. They say the transportation team added 13 current employees from within Durham Public Schools. School leaders say recruitment and training efforts will be an ongoing process. They also say they are working to ensure competitive pay rates and online social media and radio ads to garner attention.
President Donald Trump's effort to exert control over federal funding hits its first challenge. The White House Budget Office ordered a freeze on federal grants and loans. NBC's Peter Alexander shares the financial impact the freeze could have on organizations across the nation.
This morning, President Trump's sweeping spending freeze is on hold after a federal judge temporarily blocked the president's order to pause trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans, with a more permanent decision from the judge expected next Monday. The White House says the president's mission is clear.
Because he is being a good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
The Trump administration says federal assistance that goes directly to individuals will not be impacted, but exactly what will be is still unknown.
Just to be clear, since you guys haven't identified, let's do it together just for Americans at home. Medicaid, is that affected?
I gave you a list of examples: Social Security, Medicare, welfare benefits, food stamps that will not be impacted by this federal pause. I can get you the full list after this briefing.
The White House never provided that list. But a new budget office memo obtained by NBC News says mandatory programs like Medicaid and SNAP food stamps will continue without pause. But at first, the new order caused chaos, with Medicaid portals temporarily down across the country. The press secretary later posting, "We have confirmed no payments have been affected." Democrats quickly condemned the president's actions.
This decision is lawless, it's destructive, it's dangerous, it's cruel.
Republicans are largely standing with President Trump, including a Georgia congressman who argued some low-income children who receive free school meals could be working instead.
You're telling me that kids who stay at home instead of going to work at Burger King and McDonald's during the summer should stay at home and get their free lunch?
And as part of his pledge to reduce government spending, President Trump is offering more than 2 million federal workers the option to quit now and to accept a severance package. The White House expects 5 to 10% of the workforce to take the deal, which it says could lead to $100 billion in annual savings. But the largest federal workers union argues, quote, the Trump administration's goal is to turn the federal government into a toxic environment where workers cannot stay, even if they want to.
And that was Peter Alexander reporting. In less than 2 hours, President Trump is scheduled to sign the Laken-Riley Act into law. It requires the Department of Homeland Security to detain people who are here illegally for crimes like theft, burglary, or those resulting in death or serious injury. The legislation is named after a Georgia student who was killed last year. A man from Venezuela who was living in the U.S. illegally is serving a life sentence for her murder. Next at noon, out in the nick of time, how nearly 200 people safely escaped fire on board this plane in South Korea.
Also, the big reveal. How will Punxsutawney Phil call it Sunday? More winter or early spring? And why that's not the only announcement.
Plus, apartments or parkland. What the future holds for the valuable piece of land around Lake Crabtree.
How about this live look right now? Yeah, blue skies, sunshine, a little bit of clouds there, but look in Wilson at the wind. The whirly gigs spin right off their axis there as you watch WRAL News, available on Hulu and WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
I'm getting a little dizzy watching them spin like that. Aviation experts in South Korea are investigating a fire on a plane filled with passengers and crew. Fortunately, all 176 people made it out, though some did with injuries. The passenger plane was preparing to head to Hong Kong when the fire started in the back of the cabin. Firefighters put out the fire in about an hour. And daylight video shows the charred shell of the plane, as well as emergency evacuation slides. At least 2 people are still being treated for bruises they suffered while evacuating. Days earlier, the country's transportation officials had urged low-cost airline carriers to prioritize safety over profit. Just last month, a Boeing 737 smashed into a concrete wall during an emergency landing, killing all but 2 of the 181 people on board. It was South Korea's worst aviation disaster ever.
The U.S. Air Force is investigating a fiery crash involving an F-35 fighter jet. And a warning here, this would normally be startling video here. We are happy to report, though, the pilot survived. Take a look. This is the video of the crash at Eielson Air Force Base near Fairbanks, Alaska. A jet just drops out of the sky. It happened yesterday just before 1 o'clock during a training exercise. Miraculously, the pilot survived because he ejected safely from that aircraft with the parachute coming down right there. The video shows the pilot floating to the ground there as the jet explodes in a ball of fire on the ground.
We're thankful that the pilot and those responding to the incident are safe, and will continue to conduct an investigation into the causes of this incident.
And the crash follows a string of incidents involving military aircraft in recent years. In November 2023, an F-35 fighter jet vanished and crashed in a rural South Carolina area. The pilot in that incident also survived.
Last week felt like winter in the north, but it wasn't as cloudy. WRAL meteorologist Chris Michaels shows us why even our colder winters are often brighter.
When you look at it last week, the temperatures were very similar to some northern climates. We're talking about places like Poughkeepsie, New York, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the average high is in the 30s and the average low is in the teens. And that's exactly where we were last week. But there is a huge difference between our winters here and the winters that you see up north, and it really has to do with the cloud cover. On average, your winters are mostly cloudy farther to the north. They're partly cloudy as you get closer to us. In fact, I looked at some of the raw data for this month, and our average cloud cover has been 42%, which would be partly cloudy. And there's absolutely some science behind that. You would tend to see more frequent storm systems on the U.S.-Canada border in the winter. Storm systems have rising air. They have more clouds. You guys know that. But you also have the really cold air that goes over the warmer Great Lakes. That generates more cloud cover, too. And that spills into the Appalachians, which are usually very cloudy. But behind those storm systems, you get an area of high pressure that helps to fill the void a little bit. High pressure means sinking air, means more sunshine. So, yeah, we get some cloudy days in the winter, but they're usually replaced by more sunshine. So one of the draws to living in the South this time of year. It also has to do with the increasing daylight. Check it out. From February onward, we go from about 10.5 hours of daylight to start the month, and then 6 weeks later, closing in on 12 hours of daylight. So, yes, last week was harsh in terms of our winter, but at least we've had some sunshine to go along with it.
All right, you've heard of gender reveal parties, right? Well, now the group People for Ethical Treatment of Animals is proposing a sweet deal to give a famed rodent an early retirement. This Sunday, Punxsutawney Phil will predict whether winter weather will last longer or if spring will arrive early. PETA has offered to deliver a vegan cake to Phil's home, Gobbler's Knob, Pennsylvania, each Groundhog Day for the rest of recorded time, indefinitely. The weather dessert cake is a play on the gender reveal cake. So they want him to take the rest of his life off. And blue on the inside of the cake would signify 6 more weeks of winter. Pink would indicate an early spring. All right, a little wacky, but we're going to we want to know what you think at home. Okay, we're going to come back with our poll and ask you.
Would they consult with Phil on this? Would they consult with meteorologists? Would the person who bakes the cake determine whether we get 6 more weeks of winter, or will it be an early spring? I mean, how do you know? Are you going to put pink or blue? That's what I want to know. But cake is always good.
Phil would probably just eat it, not care what color it is, and all be good. We're going to find out from Elizabeth, though.
So I have questions. Does that mean Phil doesn't show up again, like in the morning, to see a shadow? Is that what they're after? Because
they want him in retirement. They want to give him
So no more Phil, just a cake.
Yeah, but
correct.
See, and that's my thing.
So I'm a little confused.
Can you? Nobody gets no groundhog on earth gets treated better than Phil.
Well,
It's just
I'm just going to go with Elizabeth. Elizabeth will tell us what's going on.
You might like this. I mean, we really don't have any winter in our 7-day forecast, that's for sure. Now, I'm in the shade at this point. The sun was behind me a few minutes ago, but, the sun's moving fast this time of year, so it's behind the trees. And boy, it makes a big difference. I'm really glad I have this sweater on. We're taking a live look at Cary right now. Beautiful sunshine. We've got gorgeous sunshine here in the gardens, but it is definitely blustery out here. 63 already. Yesterday we hit 61 for the high temperature. We are aiming for 66, 67 this afternoon, and we are definitely on our way. 63 should put us there for later this afternoon. Our dew point is 30. That's a dry dew point. It means our air mass is pretty dry right now. Checking temperatures across the area. It's a little cooler in Fayetteville and Clinton at 59, but 64 in South Hill, 61 in Rocky Mount, and 61 degrees in Goldsboro. So feeling pretty pleasant out there. The biggest thing is the wind is really kicking up. It's very blustery. We have winds gusting to 25 in Roxborough, 24 South Hill, 23 in Rocky Mount, and our steady winds are around 10 to 15 miles per hour right now. The wind is coming out of the southwest, so it's not really a bitter wind, but it's kind of an inconvenient wind. That will continue all the way until after sunset, and then the winds will begin to die down a little bit. It is likely to be a little bit breezy again tomorrow and Friday, though. Around town this afternoon, 67 in Raleigh, 66 in Durham, and 69 in Fayetteville. So we might hit that 70-degree mark in Fayetteville. We'll be really close to it. We have a dry front that'll come through tonight, rain-free. It will be another cold start tomorrow. As warm as it feels this afternoon, you're going to need that heavy coat again in the morning at 36 degrees, and then a high of 60 because of the front that comes through. We're not going to notice that front except for the breezy conditions that we're seeing. And then 70 on Friday. If we hit that 70, it'll be the first time this year that we've seen, 70, but we'll also see rain to go along with it. Coming up in just a little bit, I'm going to walk you through the timeline for that rain. It's a little cooler over the weekend, high temperatures in the low to mid 60s, but still not feeling bad for this time of year. So we do tend to have a number of days during the winter that are in the 60s. In the last 5 years, it's averaged about 35 days. That's about a third of our winter. Winter lasts 3 months, right? It was a lot less. If you figure in all the way back 75 years ago, it was only 26 days. This winter so far, we've only seen 10, and winter is now 2 months over. We have only 1 month left. I'm not sure that we'll have 25 more days in the 60s, but we'll see how that goes. We had the coldest January since 1988. You can see the darker blue areas where we're 5 to 10 degrees below average, and about 5 degrees below average here in our viewing area. So definitely those cold temperatures out there. We're going to see warmer weather, though, of course, for the next week. Looking at 60s for the weekend, 71 Monday and 65 Tuesday. Coming up a little bit more about Friday's rain.
All right, we promised it. Now tell us what you think. Should Punxsutawney Phil be replaced by a weather reveal cake? Let us know what you think by scanning the QR code on your screen right there. Or you can go to WRAL.com/yourvoice, and we'll share the results before the end of this newscast.
Rather definitive so far. People
I'm saying
no to the cake.
100% of them keep Phil.
Well, taking care of your health. Today on WRAL News at 4, 5 on Your Side shares simple and super effective maintenance tips to keep you and your humidifier in top shape this season.
Finding a solution and staying protected from cyber attacks today on WRAL News at 5:30. The steps small government entities can take to do that after Apex experienced one that's still causing headaches months later. And we hear you. A major pharmacy chain takes action to reduce customer complaints.
And a milestone over the Mojave, how the Boom supersonic jet flew into history during a test flight.
Customers may soon be able to say goodbye to waiting for pharmacy workers to unlock certain items on the shelf. CVS is testing a new feature on its app that allows customers to unlock those theft-proof cabinets on their own. The function is available to registered loyalty members, and they must be logged into the app and on the store's Wi-Fi network. The pharmacy plans to slowly roll out the feature to other stores. Spotify says it paid $10 billion to the music industry last year. That's $1 billion more than the streaming service paid out the previous year. It brings the grand total up to $60 billion since Spotify started in 2006. Artists don't necessarily see all that money, though. Spotify pays music rights holders, which are usually record labels and publishers. It's up to them to then distribute money to their musicians and songwriters.
Europe's busiest airport is about to get even busier. Britain's government finally gave the green light to a $17 billion expansion plan. Planners say Heathrow served nearly 84 million passengers last year, and that a third runway would make Britain the best connected place to do business. Some were on the fence about it because they feared it would jeopardize the commitment to reach net zero by 2050. Well, it could be years before construction begins. The American company working to build the world's fastest airliner flew into the record books with its latest test flight. Boom's XB-1 demonstrator aircraft broke the sound barrier for its first time with a test flight in California. The XB-1 has now completed 12 successful test flights since it first took to the air in March of last year. The plane already has 130 orders and pre-orders from American Airlines, United Airlines, and Japan Airlines. Planning for the future, how you can chime in on plans to redevelop Lake Crabtree Park.
Confirmation hearings continue on Capitol Hill. The warning a family member sent members of the panel. And here are your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now. Renee and I'll be right back.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Thanks for staying with us. We want to get back to that breaking news we told you about at the top of the hour. WRAL Sky 5 is live over the scene of a reported water rescue in Durham.
You see that body of water there in that live look. This is all happening in the 3100 block of Rowena Avenue near East End. WRAL's Michelle McConaughey is in the live center right now gathering information on this. Michelle.
Yeah, guys, there's still a lot of questions in this. Again, this is a live look over the pond here in Durham from Sky 5. Durham police have confirmed about an hour ago that there is somebody in the water. They are searching for a suspect. But here's what we know what happened. They attempted to conduct a vehicle stop of a stolen vehicle on Rowena Avenue. The suspect then fled on foot and entered this body of water. Durham Police, Durham County Sheriff's Office, and Durham Fire, they are all on scene attempting to locate the suspect. We still have a lot of questions in this. Monica Casey is also on the scene. You just saw some video from the ground there as well. She's there gathering information. As soon as we have anything to report, any updates, we'll do so here in the Live Center.
Michelle, thanks. You can give your thoughts today on RDU's plan to develop Lake Crabtree Park. WRAL's Laura Levine explains the big changes.
The future of Lake Crabtree County Park here behind me is up in the air. Today, RDU plans to lay out its vision for the beloved park, which is now getting a whole lot of backlash. This is a look at the proposed development. The plans would affect 136 acres, including nearly all of the 9.4 miles of bike trails and a small sliver of lakefront. RDU says the development will create a unique and innovative entertainment destination that could also include restaurants, bars, or a hotel. But hikers and bikers are devastated by this news.
We need this. We don't need another entertainment area in the triangle. We need green spaces where everyone, young adults, kids, we can all get together and enjoy nature and learn about nature and how to take care of it.
So here's why this is happening now. RDU owns 330 acres of Lake Crabtree County Park and for years have leased the land to Wake County for only $1 a year. However, RDU says in a statement new requirements from the Federal Aviation Administration imposed last year means the airport authority is now required to get fair market value for the land. So the Airport Authority Board of Directors will meet today at 4 p.m. They're going to have a presentation, and then that'll be followed by public comment. That begins at 5 p.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Morrisville.
Two teenagers wanted in connection with an assault on a state trooper over the weekend are now in custody. Police say the second teen was taken into custody around 7 o'clock this morning on North Holman Avenue. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there as officers investigated just after 2 o'clock this morning. The search started after officers swarmed Durham Chapel Hill Boulevard last night. They say the 14 and 15-year-old suspects abandoned a car and ran off. The teens were wanted after police say they shot at a trooper during a chase in Orange County Saturday.
The full Senate could vote to confirm President Donald Trump's second pick to lead the Department of Justice as early as tomorrow. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted 12-10 along party lines to send Pam Bondi before the Senate. But with the long list of nominees to be confirmed, the vote could be pushed into next week.
The president's pick to run the Department of Health and Human Services is expected to face tough questions from senators today. Confirmation hearings for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. also begin today, and RFK Jr. has often advocated for a range of controversial health care policy positions. At one point, he expressed deep skepticism about vaccines that doctors consider life-saving, from the COVID-19 shot to the polio vaccine. In a letter to senators, Caroline Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s first cousin, warned senators to vote no on him.
His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed. Bobby preys on the desperation of parents of sick children, vaccinating his own kids while building a following hypocritically discouraging other parents from vaccinating theirs.
He's expected to appear at the Senate Committee on Finance and the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions today.
All eastbound lanes of Hillsborough Street near downtown Raleigh are now open. A water main break caused serious headaches this morning. The water main break happened near the intersection of Hillsborough and West Morgan Streets, and water flooded the road as crews worked to repair the massive hole. No word on what caused the break. Drivers on I-440 in Raleigh tonight will encounter a closure. Crews will be working to pull utility lines over the interstate near Melbourne Road. They'll start around midnight tonight, and they're expected to be done by 5 tomorrow morning. The slow rolling closure will affect both sides of the interstate. Drivers should plan for delays and consider other ways to get around that area. Maybe you've dreamed of owning your own business someday. Well, someday can be very soon. We'll talk to an expert about actions you can take right away.
In her elements. We'll introduce you to the Raleigh chemistry teacher who has come up with her own equation to connecting with her students. Information comes in quick and can change by the hour. The WRAL News app will keep you up to date wherever you are. That's coverage you can count on.
Our teacher of the week thought she wanted to be a vet when she started college at NC State, but tutoring her fellow classmates changed her focus from animals to children.
WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a chemistry teacher who is in her element in the classroom.
And then we've got to calculate the energy after that to turn the gas.
Lauren Latta spends her days teaching her students at Athens Drive High School about the fundamentals of chemistry.
And we're going to plug in our mass, 27 grams.
She says, though, success for her is when her students learn life skills that come with passing her class. And when students question, when will they ever use chemistry? Well, she has a few reminders for them.
Well, you might not be balancing equations or predicting products of reactions or doing gas law problems in your future job, but you will use the problem solving, critical thinking skills, the grit that it takes to get through chemistry as a tough class. Like, they'll use that in their future lives.
Latta discovered her love for teaching in college when she was a tutor at NC State for student athletes. But the request for her skills didn't end there.
I also tutored some of my friends in some of our harder classes at school. I was like the one they always ask questions to, and I was like, I really like this. Like, I'm pretty good at it.
Among her students, Latta's known for her kind and caring approach to teaching and forming bonds that go beyond the classroom.
There's not a single day that I don't just look around at least once, probably more than once, and I look at all my students and I'm like, this is why I do it. Like, I really love teaching my students.
Good morning, Miss Latta. You are WRAL's Teacher of the Week.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh my gosh.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
That's what I love about Teacher of the Week. You can't fake that, right? The passion, it is awesome. If you would like to nominate a teacher, you can go to WRAL.com, enter Teacher of the Week in the search box, and bring that emotion.
Yeah, and I love that enthusiastic response from her students. That's right. She deserves a round of applause. Well, stop putting off tomorrow what you can do today. A local expert shares what you can do to launch your own business.
And Groundhog's Day comes around just around the corner here. Every year, right? It's this weekend. Now, people for the ethical treatment of animals want to replace Punxsutawney Phil with cake. Tell us what you think about it right here. Share your voice right now. Scan that QR code on your screen or head to WRAL.com/yourvoice. Let us know what you think. We'll share the results when we return.
The beginning of the year is prime time to start a new business for those who've always thought about it. That side hustle or hobby of yours could become your next career. Small business coach Cherith Robertson, who's worked with hundreds of business owners, she joins us now to help you get started on your dream. Cherith, great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So more than 50% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. That's a sobering statistic. Why is that?
Yeah, a lot of times people register their business before they've figured out how they're going to sell or reach their customers. And then they jump into it and realize there might be big barriers. Maybe they have a hard time getting access to funding, or maybe it just looks a lot different than they thought it would. And that can really be challenging, and it makes a lot of people take a step back.
Okay, so we want you to jump in, but with a plan, right? Three actionable steps for people who want to start a business. Cherith will walk you through it. First, start small. That's the first step. Think big, but start small.
That's right. You can dream big, taking one step at a time to get there. And so what I tell people when they're starting small is first understand how you're going to sell your product or your service. Think about the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why, and how, so that you're thinking through how am I reaching my customers, how are they getting to me, when am I selling my product or service. It's really mapping out what we call a business model, which is how you make money for your business. If you do that in the early days of starting your business, you're able to better understand what barriers you may face as you're building it.
Step number 2, validate before investing. It sounds like do your research, do your homework.
Yeah, so validating can look like having a pop-up. partnering with other small businesses who may already have a space like you want to have and seeing how they do it. It could be shadowing someone for a few weeks to make sure that the way that you're envisioning is the reality of what that business could look like.
Test the waters.
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, create a blueprint. How do you go about doing that?
A blueprint essentially is outlining how you're going to build this business. We also call it a business plan. And a blueprint really allows you to think through, how am I going to build this business before I jump in? If you think about it, I like metaphors. If I'm going on a trip, I'm going to plan out where I'm going, where I'm going to stay, and what I want that trip to look like before I take the time to go on that trip. Planning out your business is the same. It sounds really nebulous and kind of intimidating. It doesn't have to be.
And I love that metaphor because when you're planning your business, you really are planning an adventure of a lifetime, right?
Absolutely.
You're the author of the Guided Small Business Planner, and that gives people essentially a way to start that blueprint.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote the Guided Small Business Planner. It's a step-by-step guide to walk you through starting your business, answers the most common questions and concerns that people have, and we provide real-life examples and templates so that you don't have to guess what to do next when you're building your business.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And where can they get that?
At our website at flourishingrowth.com.
Okay, Cherith Robertson, CEO of Flourish and Growth, dedicated to helping small business entrepreneurs. We thank you so much for your insights.
Thanks, Renee.
And hope you have a great 2025.
Thanks, you too.
Chance to take it outside right now, and Elizabeth Gardner on the WRAL weather patio. That wind's starting to kick up a little bit out there, Elizabeth.
It really is. It's pretty breezy out here. Our winds have been gusting up to about 20-25 miles per hour, so blustery. But that air is coming out of the southwest, and so that's where our warmth is coming from today. And as long as you're in a spot where it isn't breezy, even in the shade, it feels comfortable in a sweater. That wind is blowing, and it just always makes it feel a little bit cooler, even if it's a warm wind. We take a live look at Fayetteville and Raleigh, as well as Apex, Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Just a few high, thin clouds out there. We do have a weak front that's crossing the area. It's going to drop our temperatures just a little bit for tomorrow. But this is the rain that's headed our way for Friday. And you can see Houston, Dallas, all that starting to spread northward. We're going to have a cold front that sweeps through and picks up that moisture and brings it our way on Friday. So ahead of that front, it's going to be really warm on Friday with a high of 70. And the rain is likely after around 2 o'clock. Even some thunderstorms are possible with this. We'll roll that front forward and we'll pause it right around 1:30 in the afternoon. And you can see that rain starting to move into the viewing area. At this point, it looks like mainly an afternoon event. So maybe during the evening commute, but by dinner time, or if you're going to be headed out for maybe a movie or a show, it looks like that rain could be over with. Now, today is Wednesday and that is Friday. So keep checking back. We'll get our high resolution data in, and we may have a little adjustment to the timeline as soon as those high res models come in. 70% chance of rain on Friday, and we're looking at anywhere from a ½ an inch to a quarter of an inch. We definitely need it. We talked earlier in the newscast about the fact that we're under a moderate drought. Folks who are planning to run in the Krispy Kreme Challenge, though, will probably be happy that we were able to take a little bit of the rain out of the forecast in the morning. It kicks off at the Bell Tower at NC State. People run down to the Krispy Kreme, which is 2 miles, eat a dozen donuts, and run back. And then it doesn't get pretty at the finish line, that's for sure. Weather might be pretty at the finish line, though. 10 o'clock, 51 degrees, 56 degrees at noon. And it should be nice weather for the Cupid Run in Durham, which kicks off at 2 o'clock on Saturday, 61 degrees. We take a look at our Groundhog Day forecast. Of course, we were talking about that just a little while ago. And we have, of course, there's Punxsutawney Phil in Pennsylvania. There is Snurd, the groundhog in Garner, and some others across our area. If the groundhog sees its shadow, the tale is that you get 6 more weeks of winter. No shadow, it's an early spring. Our forecast for Sunday is for some sunshine, so we shall see. There's definitely not much winter in this 7-day forecast for sure. Our normal high this time of year is 53, 54, and we are well above that. 70 Friday, but with some showers in the afternoon. And then on Saturday and Sunday, highs will be in the low to mid 60s, and then we bounce back to 71 again on Monday. So if you didn't like last week where it was really cold and snowy, we've got this for you.
And we love that. Elizabeth, thank you. Sunday is Groundhog Day, and PETA is making an offer it says will allow Punxsutawney Phil to live out his days in his natural habitat, the animal rights group PETA. Okay, they want to deliver a weather reveal cake, like a gender reveal cake, but weather reveal cake to Gobbler's Knob indefinitely.
Yeah, so we asked you at home, should Punxsutawney Phil be replaced by a weather reveal cake? no. Pretty much everyone saying no. We're collecting these answers for you all throughout the day. So share this with your friends. Scan the QR code on your screen. Head to WRAL.com/yourvoice. It's another way to log in there. But yeah, that's a hard no.
Yeah, not as a reveal, but we'll all take cake. A rare sighting, a superpod of dolphins off the coast of California.
And winning Mega Millions numbers 10, 19, 31, 47, 56. The Mega Ball is 6. The Mega Plier is 5. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. Right now, Durham police officers are searching for a suspect they believe jumped into a body of water. This is happening right near Rowena Avenue, and police say this started with a vehicle stop of a stolen vehicle. And WRAL Sky 5 right there saw several emergency units responding to the scene, and we'll continue to follow this breaking news. And for any updates, you can go to WRAL.com.
A plan to rezone the site of Epic Games headquarters was withdrawn. That's supposed to be at the former site of Carytown Center Mall. The company announced the project in 2020 and was expected to be complete last year. This doesn't necessarily mean that Epic Games is not going through with its plans. The letter notes the company can still decide to rezone the property, but a new application must be filed.
State lawmakers are back in Raleigh today to begin work for the legislative session. This afternoon, House leaders will get updates on the disaster response to Helene. This will be the first time lawmakers will hear directly from the new Stein administration on the progress of relief efforts in western part of our state. The meeting begins at 2 o'clock, and you can watch it live on WRAL.com.
Happy Lunar New Year. Today marks the start of the Lunar New Year, a time for family reunions, feasts, and traditions dating back thousands of years. To mark the Year of the Snake, Google released an interactive snake game to celebrate. The illustration features a stylized serpent creatively woven into the word Google. The Year of the Snake symbolizes wisdom, transformation, and resilience.
Drone footage captured a spectacular super pod of dolphins in California. Look at this video showing a miles-long cluster of Risso dolphins across Carmel Bay. The dolphins formed an unusual super pod there. That's about 1,500 marine mammals together. Those types of dolphins are typically known to travel in groups of 10 to 30, a lot more than that.
One big party there.
Yeah.
Our pet of the day is a special boy from Cat Angels NC. Butters here is so special with a very loud purr, and he just loves to snuggle with people. He also does well with high-energy cats or dogs. Butters requires very special foods and supplements, but no medications. Those foods can be somewhat expensive, so he needs to find just the right home that can afford this gentleman. If you think he'd be right for you, just fill out an application on the Cat Angels website.
Taking care of your health today on WRAL News at 4. 5 on your side shares simple and super effective maintenance tips to keep you and your humidifier in top shape this season.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Get out there, have a great day.